Boom, how's it going? How's it going? It is I, TJ, Taurai Jack, and welcome to M5 Property Addicts, the channel where we talk about everything and anything around property. In this video, I am going to show you how the rich get richer using property. I found this by mistake, actually, but it is one of those holy grail in terms of property. And this strategy here that we are going to be talking about has been utilized with great entrepreneur, great property mogul, great property people that know how to understand and to structure property. And today, I know the rich don't want you to know this, but I'm going to be sharing it with you because I think if I can do it, you can do it too. Boom! You remember the property that we bought back in the days, and this property we bought it, and it was like a one building. I'm going to show you a video of it just now, but I thought let's actually have a discussion around this property because it's got so much value in it in terms of what you can do from a structuring perspective, how you can extract the money out of it. And I'm going to mix up a couple of things, and I'm going to be drawing a board, and I'm going to take you to the property. Meantime, what I'd like us to do is to go to the actual property and see what it is. The 20-unit building that we bought.
Hey, how's it going? It is ITJ, and I'm out at one of the properties where we just quickly buying, and I just wanted to give you guys a snapshot of what it looks like, and I'm going to give you guys a walkthrough on this place. I think it's one of those cool places that we've always been talking about. All right, so we are out and about, and this particular property that we're talking about, many of you have seen this property. We have spoken about it, and we have said that this is the one that we're buying. And I'm just wanting to come down so that I can give you guys a clear view of what it is. So you can see there, this is a nicely built project. And we can see that there's nice parking. And at the end, there's the entrance that side on my left hand side, and there's a security gate. And actually I'm here to pick up the plans. Awesome, so I've got the plans for the place, and this is on the left hand side is the security. In there is the next to the security guard is where the bins and so on are. And if we look on the other side now, this is where the laundry is being kept. You can see the cars that are here. You know, this place is a decent one place. And all the way up, this is the side view of the building. And this is the other side of the building. You can see there because of the lights. But decent parking, clean building, as you can see. And we're going to measure all the way on the top. Right. So
hey, you have already seen the building that we're talking about. And this time around, what I'd like to do now is to show you, we did say that we're buying this property for 5 million rand, and the rental income on it is 100,000. But for ease of mathematics, what I'm going to do, instead of talking about the actual building, I am going to come down to speak to the 1 unit, right? Because obviously what we can do thereafter is to just times it by 10 or times 20, right? The number of units in a building. Does that make sense? I think it does. Now, step number 1, we're buying it for 5 million rand. And we were shy of 100,000 of rental income on it. However, the journey of the conversation changed, and we ended up only buying 10 units. So I'm going to talk to this building in relation to 10 units, right? And the 10 units, we were supposed to have obviously buying them for 2.5 million, but we didn't buy them for 2.5 million. We ended up buying it for 2.1 million. All right. And join me now whilst I go to the board and talk about the maths behind the deal. Right, we're back now, and we are talking about this particular deal that we're talking about. And again, I did say that let's jump into the numbers. So from a number perspective, right, I've got my corky here, and I got my board here, and we want to talk about the actual numbers. And remember, I said that it is actually a building of 20 units, all right? However, we are only buying 10 of that. So which means that we are only buying 10 units, all right? We are buying half of the building now. That's what it means. So 10 is what we are buying. Out of those 10, all of these are actually 2 beds, 1 bath. They've got a rental income of 5,000 Rand. And I wanted to stress that out, 5,000 Rand. That's the rent here. Rent, I'm gonna put that in, say rent. Okay. The market value of these properties is sitting at anything between 450,000, right, to 500. That's the value, the market value in the area, okay? So we all know that in the residential space, we get to measure the properties comparable with what is happening in the area. So let's take the top mark, which is the bottom entry number, which is 450, that we are saying that that is the value. But we know that on the 10 units that we bought, we ended up actually buying them for 2,100,000. If you divide that by 10, it basically means that our buying price is now 210,000, right? 210,000. That's how much we are actually buying each one unit. Now, if we look at it from another direction, we now want to say, actually, you know, we bought it, we know that the market value is 450, right? And we know that the market now, our market value is 450, and we know that the buying price is 210. Now, the equity is the difference between the two. So if we subtract the two, it basically means that we have equity in this property of 240,000. 240,000 that is in there, right? On a rental income of 5,000 Rand. So that means this is a good deal. You almost bought this at 50% discount. It's more than 50% discount. Your equity is just shy of 50% of the value of the property. Now the question here is, what do you do with that equity? And this is the holy grail. And this is where I think where rich people get richer, right? If it was lots of us, we would then be saying this is a good deal for us to flip so that we can sell this property. So I sat down and I spoke to my partners and I said, hey, what if we do what is called refinancing? So if we finance this property again, so we are buying these properties cash. So what we are looking at here at 210 a unit, we are buying that cash. All we now need to do is to say it times 10, and we are getting our 2.1 million. So we are buying that cash, right? Or you can structure it in the way that you want to do. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you're buying it cash. Now that we've got this equity now is sitting on our balance sheet, right? So which means that I am now rich. 240,000 together with my partners or whoever that I'm doing the deal with. So which means that I'm now that much rich because of the equity that's sitting on my balance sheet. So that's 2,400,000 by just buying that property. Okay? You also, the property is clean, nice, and all of those things. Now, I can go on to do something that is called refinancing. So we just bought it, right? And there is no renovation in this case, but now we are going to finance it via the bank. Great, awesome stuff. So now what we have done here is that now we want to take this property to the bank. It doesn't matter which bank it is, but the point of the matter is that we are taking this property now to the bank. And once we are there, we are going to take a bond on the same property. In this case, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, okay, hold on. Remember, we are in the business of earning some equity, earning cash flow from our property. So we survive off our properties. So for this reason, it doesn't make sense for me to go out and take it all, the money on 450 per unit, but I can do that. But in this case, what we're going to do is that we are going to buy each property, each unit, right, via the bank now, and we are going to say, well, we are going to do a 300K. Okay? So what basically means that is we are loaning the property now. This is now equivalent of times 10, remember? Because we've got 10 units, so that is 3M. Is that correct? That makes sense, isn't it? Okay. Now, if we've got 300,000 per unit, right? The equity that we have released there is now this bond amount here, subtracting the buying price here. So now we've got 90,000, right? The 210 is the first initial amount that we bought, right? So which means that once we have refinanced, the 210 cash that we put in this deal, it comes back again to us, right? Does that make sense? Does it follow? So you finance the property, your initial capital that you put in 210, now it's part of this 300 because now you've taken a bond, so all of it now comes back to you. When it comes back to you, in this case, you got a 90,000 Rand odd cash that is in here, right? Remember, you can afford to pay that. You can afford to pay that because you got a tenant that's paying you 5,000. So now, actually what we're saying, if we were taking this on 300,000 on a 10% interest rate, which means that we should be paying the bond of 3,000 Rand. So we've got an odd 2,000 Rand to play with. 2,000 Rand to play with. Does that make sense? I know my board is not clean, but I hope that you're following. If you're not following, you can hit the replay button, right? So you've got a plus minus 2,000 Rand there, which is in cash flow, right? Obviously, we haven't taken in consideration some of the other costs that you need to take in, like rates and taxes together with management fees, right? But even though if you do that, you're still sitting in on a cash flow. You do the mathematics, you tell me how much you got there. Now, part of your equity that you released, your 210 is back, plus your 90 is back again. So if this 210 here is back, what can you do? This is literally 2.1 million. That's now available. And this is also now literally 900,000 that is also now available. So literally you now have an asset that you bought cash, you refinance it or you finance it via the bond, a bank, a normal bank, and then thereafter you take in that bond, you release the equity, it is then given to you. In this case, you actually can cover your cash that you put in and you got surplus money. And obviously your tenant is paying off for the surplus money. And this is how the rich get richer, because now all of a sudden they've got this plus minus 1,000. This is what they call equity. This is what they call, not equity, infinity returns. That's how they write infinity returns. Yeah? Infinity returns. It's like an 8 that's like upside down, kind of like, right? Right. So now you've got equity that's sitting, not equity. Now that you've got infinity returns, on 1,000 plus minus 1,000 rand, considering all of our other costs, right? But let's take it as 2,000. It's infinity returns. You have no money in that deal. The money is back to you again, right? Your cash that you've put in. And out of that now, what you now have, yes, your cash is back. Boom, your 2.1 that you put in initially. This is capital. You can re-inject it again in the same business for the next project. And you get this 900,000. You can call it profit, you can call it whatever you want to say. It's basically equity that you've extracted in the property that you bought now. It's free money. Now, before you had 210 and you now have 90,000 per unit. And if we were to say for all 10 units, it's actually 900,000 plus 2.1 million. Boom! That's how you're making some more money. So you got 3 million now, all of a sudden, 3 million that you can take to work, right? Can see that? So you got 3 million that you can now take to work as what? As capital for your next deal. If this is a little bit confusing, you want to take it per unit. Now you've got 90,000 plus your initial 210. Again, 300,000. You can go to work for the next project and you still own the first project. Infinity returns. I told you this is how the rich get richer. I'm excited to be sharing with you this deal. This is an amazing deal. And I know that the numbers are not clear in terms of the notes. Someone says to me, hey TJ, when you're doing numbers, it feels like, you know, it's dog's breakfast. Yeah, it is dog's breakfast. In my head, that's how they work. But it is following. If you don't follow this, you might not be able to understand the infinity returns. My name is Taurai. Jack has been great sharing with you with this. But if you can kill this, you'll be making money for days. It's been awesome hanging out with you. Cheers. God bless. Goodbye.